looking to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles and you're watching ASEAN in Focus on tonight's headlines. In a show of military strength, Taiwanese troops successfully thwarted a mock Chinese beach landing during the island's week-long annual military drills, which simulate attacks by Beijing. The devastating incident of an overloaded passenger boat capsizing in a Philippine lake has now claimed the lives of 26 people, according to the latest update from the Coast Guard. As rescue efforts resume, the search continues for those who remain missing. British billionaire Richard Branson has called on Singapore to halt the imminent execution of a woman convicted of drug trafficking. And in breaking news in sports, China's long-awaited Asian Games are set to make history as the largest ever, according to organizers. The host city, Hangzhou, is now in full swing with preparations for the much-anticipated opening ceremony in September. Now, first, the devastating incident of an overloaded passenger boat capsizing in a Philippine lake has now claimed the lives of 26 people, according to the latest update from the Coast Guard. As rescue efforts resume, the search continues for those who remain missing. The situation at Laguna Lake, just outside Manila, is devastating. According to the Philippine Coast Guard, the rescue teams have managed to retrieve 40 survivors and 26 casualties from the wreckage.
Latest update, we were able to recover 40 survivors and 26 casualties. Sa 26 casualties, we have 14 identified and 12 unidentified. Currently, siyempre gabi na, so I have to call off the search and rescue operation and we will continue tomorrow morning.
The accident took place during the early afternoon and the timing couldn't have been more unfortunate. It occurred shortly after Typhoon Doksuri had passed through the northern part of the Philippines. Nevertheless, Rear Admiral Hostilio Cornelio clarified that the vessel had valid permission to set sail. It's worth noting that prior to the incident, boats in Luzon and Central Islands had been directed to stay ashore due to gale warnings associated with the intensifying southwest monsoon triggered by the typhoon. Meanwhile, it's important to acknowledge the bravery of the rescue teams and the locals who rushed to help. Monica de la Cruz witnessed the rescue efforts of the municipality of Binangonan. She described the scene as harrowing, with survivors pleading for help to rescue those trapped beneath the capsized boat.
Kasi nung nakita ko kanina, nakataob na yung bangka. Ano na sila tapos may nakita na ako dyan sa pretil, mga nakaligtas. Ano nga, humingi sila ng saklolo na rescuean daw yung nasa loob ng bangka nakataob. Ayun, iyakan na yun, dami na nga may mga sugat, lalaki ang ulo ko. Tapos kinikilabutan ako, sabi ko kasi tumanda ako dito sa Kalinawan, ngayon lang ako ng ganang yung sakuna yun, parang nakakatakot sa tapat pa ng baryo namin.
Many were injured and in tears.
Hindi ko na alam ang ko sarili ko na kanina. Tuliro na rin ako nung nalaman kong kasama yung pamangkin ng asawa ko. Nagpabalik-balik na nga kami sa bayan para lang hanapin doon, baka nandun. Bumalik kami rito. Nung pagbalik dito, ay nadyan na pala. Bantay na ng asawa ko. Wala nang buhay.
British billionaire Richard Branson has called on Singapore to halt the imminent execution of a woman convicted of drug trafficking. Sari Dewi Jamani, 45, is scheduled to be hanged tomorrow or today, July 28. She was convicted in 2018 of trafficking around 30 grams of heroin. Branson tweeted that it is still not too late to grant mercy to Sari Dewi Jamani. He expressed his concern over Singapore's continued use of capital punishment for non-violent drug offenses, likening it to countries like North Korea and Iran. Jamani's execution would mark the first time a woman has been hanged in Singapore since 2004. Singapore is known for its stringent anti-narcotics laws. Authorities argue that the death penalty effectively discourages drug trafficking. However, Branson and other human rights activists argue that the death penalty is a cruel and inhumane punishment that doesn't deter crime. Singapore's Law Minister K. Shanmugam has challenged Branson to a televised debate on the topic of the death penalty in the city-state. Branson has declined, saying such a debate couldn't do justice to the complexity of the issue. The execution of Sari Dewi Jamani is scheduled to take place today. It remains to be seen whether Singapore will heed Branson's call for mercy. A desperate rescue operation unfolding in Indonesia, where 8 miners have been trapped since Tuesday in an illegal mining pit on the main island of Java. A joint search and rescue team has stepped up their efforts, deploying 6 larger submersible water pumps to extract water from the pit. The team is also attempting to seal off openings that allow water to seep in from the groundwater basin.
Evakuasi ini di mana yang terjebak ini kan ada terjebak air di dalam. Kami masih melakukan upaya-upaya penyedotan. Tentunya yang paling kita prioritaskan adalah saat ini untuk penyelamatan korban.
Kondisi terakhir korban?
Ini kita belum tahu ya, kita berdoa saja supaya korban masih bisa kita evakuasi dalam keadaan selamat.
Earlier attempts with smaller pumps on Wednesday proved unsuccessful in lowering the water level. The miners became trapped in a 60-meter deep hole when the mining area was suddenly inundated by water shortly after they entered. Another worker discovered the situation later and saw the miners still trapped as the area continued to flood. Efforts were made to extract water from the pit using a water pump. But unfortunately, the water level didn't recede as reported by Central Java Police spokesman Stephanus Satakebayu Sentianto in a written statement.
Sedangkan tim yang di atas dengan yang di bawah mungkin nggak ada komunikasi, makanya jadi adanya datang air dan yang di bawah tidak sempat untuk melarikan diri.
Furthermore, it was revealed that the gold mining area where the incident occurred lacks proper licensing. The hazards faced by miners in Indonesia are substantial, with landslides, flooding, and tunnel collapses posing significant risks.
Ini adalah tambang emas ya, tambang emas. Tentunya ini tidak berizin, dan ini sedang kita lakukan pendataan terhadap seluruhnya.
Additionally, many of these artisanal and often unauthorized mining operations involve highly toxic substances like mercury and cyanide, and the workers often lack proper safety protection. The Indonesian government has acknowledged the issue and vowed to crack down on illegal gold mining, but the problem persists and these mines continue to operate with little regard for safety. Our next story tonight focuses on efforts to address the escalating conflict in Myanmar. Leaders of Malaysia and the Philippines have proposed a potential approach that could provide some flexibility in engaging informally with Myanmar's military junta. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim and visiting Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos discussed the pressing issue during a meeting in Putrajaya. They stressed the importance of strengthening the role of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations in finding a resolution to the ongoing crisis. While underscoring the significance of ASEAN's involvement, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim told reporters after the meeting that neighboring countries should be granted some flexibility, room and space to engage with Myanmar's military administration informally.
We did touch upon Myanmar to strengthen the 5-point consensus of ASEAN, but also give some flexibility, room and space for neighboring countries to engage on an informal basis without sacrificing the issues of human rights and the treatment of minorities, and particularly the Rohingyas and other Burmese minorities in Myanmar.
Now, this suggestion comes amid controversy surrounding Thailand's independent initiative to convene its own diplomatic effort concerning Myanmar, in addition to the ASEAN-led process led by Indonesia. Unlike ASEAN's approach, which has excluded the junta's senior leadership from its summits since late 2021, Thailand's initiative has included the junta's foreign minister. The Thai initiative has garnered criticism for potentially undermining ASEAN's ongoing continuing efforts to resolve the crisis through the 5-point consensus. The diplomatic initiative began in December, involving 4 meetings, and even saw a meeting between Thai Foreign Minister Don Pramudwinai and the imprisoned leader Aung San Suu Kyi on July 9.
Who are interested to talk to the Myanmar, to find out what's happening. We facilitate that kind of meeting. So the third meeting was in Pattaya, allowing countries to find out more from Myanmar. And when they met, they found this very useful. When people who are ready to come, they came. Who are not ready to come would opt out. But it's not the ASEAN meetings. Because this is our own initiative. Why? Because we have a long border with Myanmar, 2,400. Like Indonesia, you are far away from Myanmar. You don't know what's happening on a daily basis. But we are affected. India affected. Countries bordering Myanmar are all affected. The transnational crimes are increasing. It is related to Phnom Penh meeting, the summit. The summit in Phnom Penh issue a document, 15 points. And number 14 is on the other approaches to settle the Myanmar issue. Number 14, you look at number 14, it says that other approaches should be explored. We are doing that, and we invite all ministers, including Mr. Retno, to come to Bangkok on the 3 occasions.
The approach of treating the military junta as a partner of peace, as attempted through ASEAN's 5-point consensus since April 21, 2021, has not yielded significant results in resolving the conflict. While it is uncertain whether a hardline stance from ASEAN would fare any better in solving the zero-sum conflict, the leaders' proposal to explore informal engagement seeks to find alternative avenues toward a potential solution. In a significant development for economic ties and regional diplomacy, Indonesian President Joko Widodo met with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Chengdu, China. The meeting between the two leaders aims to reinforce economic cooperation between Indonesia and China, while also discussing crucial regional political matters. Indonesian Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi highlighted the significance of the visit, which coincides with the 10th anniversary of the Indonesia-China Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. President Widodo emphasized during the bilateral meeting that managing the rivalry between major powers is vital to prevent conflicts that could harm the region. He welcomed the re-establishment of communication between China and the U.S. and also showed appreciation for the completion of guidelines to expedite negotiations for the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea. The meeting between President Joko Widodo and President Xi Jinping signifies a commitment to enhancing economic collaboration and fostering peaceful regional dynamics as the leaders explore avenues for further exploration, further cooperation, and we await updates on the outcomes of their discussions.
Dalam rangka memenuhi undangan Presiden Xi Jinping, dan kunjungan ini bertepatan dengan 10 tahun Kemitraan Strategis Komprehensif Indonesia RRT. Rekan-rekan, pertemuan bilateral utamanya membahas penguatan kerjasama ekonomi yang saling menguntungkan, selalu mempertimbangkan pemakaian tenaga lokal dan friendly terhadap lingkungan kawasan. Presiden menyampaikan bahwa rivalitas antara major powers harus dikelola agar tidak menimbulkan konflik yang merugikan kawasan. Beliau menyambut baik dimulainya kembali komunikasi antara RRT dan Amerika Serikat. Beliau juga menyambut baik penyelesaian panduan percepatan negosiasi Code of Conduct di Laut Cina Selatan.
In a show of military strength, Taiwanese troops successfully thwarted a mock Chinese beach landing during the island's week-long annual military drills, which simulate attacks by Beijing. China's assertive actions in recent years have raised tensions, with nearly daily incursions of warplanes and naval vessels taking place around Taiwan. As part of the 5-day Han Kuang or Han Glory War Games, The drills have been conducted in various settings, including Taipei's main train station and its largest international airport, as well as on different terrains. Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen, who was diagnosed with COVID this week with mild symptoms, observed Thursday's drill dressed in army fatigues and wearing a face mask. Emphasizing the evolving threats and challenges, President Tsai underscored the importance of envisioning situations of hybrid threats and formulating relevant plans to enhance the effectiveness of the military drills.
这场操演除了搭配工兵部队在滩岸设置主角设施，也参考了俄乌战争经验，结合既有的地形，强化各式武器阵地，来达到抗弹抗炸的效果，提升后备部队在滩岸上防卫作战的能力。
Since President Tsai took office in 2016, Beijing has escalated military and political pressure on Taiwan. In the past year alone, the Chinese military has conducted 2 large-scale drills simulating targeted strikes and blockades around the island. In a significant diplomatic development, Malacanang has announced the upcoming 3-day official visit of European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen to the country. President Marcos warmly welcomes the esteemed guest, who's scheduled to arrive from the 30th of July to the 1st of August. During her visit, President von der Leyen is set to engage in meetings with Philippine government officials, private business entities, and civic organizations. The Presidential Communications Office expressed hope that this visit will foster even closer ties between the Philippines and the European Union. Both nations are expected to bolster cooperation in various sectors such as trade, economic development, climate and environment, maritime, space, and digital connectivity. One of the key topics of discussion during President von der Leyen's visit will be the extension of the country's generalized scheme of Preferences Plus or GSP Plus with the EU. The Department of Trade and Industry has indicated that the European Commission is inclined to prolong the validity of the existing GSP regulation until December 31, 2027. The GSP Plus is a special incentive arrangement that enables the Philippines to export over 6,000 product lines to the EU market without incurring tariffs, providing a significant boost to trade relations. Von der Leyen's visit aims to invigorate EU-Philippines bilateral relations and stimulate discussions on issues of mutual interest, matters related to trade, investment, and the global gateway cooperation will be among the topics on the agenda. The EU's global gateway strategy seeks to address partner countries' infrastructure needs while tackling global challenges such as climate change, healthcare improvement, and strengthening global supply chains, competitiveness, and security. The global economy is gradually recovering from the pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, according to the latest update of the World Economic Outlook report released on July 25th. The IMF chief economist Pierre-Olivier Gourinchas delivered crucial insights during a press briefing, shedding light on the current state of the global economy.
The global economy continues to gradually recover from the pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but it is not yet out of the woods. Now, stronger growth and lower inflation than expected are welcome news, suggesting the global economy is headed in the right direction. Yet growth remains low by historical standards, and while some adverse risks have moderated, the balance remains tilted to the downside, and it is too early to celebrate. There are growing signs that global activity is losing momentum.
The IMF's baseline forecast projects a slight slowdown in growth from last year's 3.5% to 3% for this year and the next. Now, this represents a 0.2 percentage points upgrade for this year compared to the IMF's April projections. Mr. Gourinchas stressed the importance of remaining vigilant as inflation recedes. Central banks and policymakers may need to implement prudent measures to tackle rising debt and consider continuing interest rate hikes.
Higher borrowing costs and increased debt distress. Hopefully, with inflation starting to recede, we have entered the final stage of the inflationary cycle that started in 2021. But hope is not a policy, and the touchdown may prove quite difficult to execute.
Garinchas also highlighted the potential impact of the Russian withdrawal from the Black Sea Grain Initiative, warning of potential higher food prices.
I mean, it's very clear that the Black Sea Grain Initiative was very instrumental in making sure that there would be ample grain supply to the world in the last year. And there are estimates of about 33 million tons of grain that were shipped from Ukraine to the rest of the world. And that helped keep price pressures on food and grain prices lower. Now that this grain deal has been suspended, the same mechanics works in reverse, and it's likely to put upward pressure on food prices. And we have some estimates that we're looking at, in terms of how much of the supply is going to be withdrawn and what is the elasticity of prices to the reduction in demand. And we're still assessing where we're going to land, but we would be thinking that somewhere in the range of 10-15% increase in prices of grains is a reasonable estimate, although we'll have to see exactly how this is going to unfold.
The tropical depression outside the Philippine area of responsibility has now developed into a tropical storm named Kanun. The latest forecast suggests that the tropical cyclone may enter PAR between late Saturday evening and Sunday morning, and once it enters PAR, it'll be given the domestic name Falcon.
Sa kasalukuyan po may binabantayan tayong bagyo sa labas ng ating Philippine Area of Responsibility na nasa tropical storm category at may international name na si Kanun. Sa kasalukuyan po, huli itong namataan sa layong 1,365 kilometers silangan niya ng southern Luzon. At sa ngayon po yung trough area extension nito ay nakakaapekto sa malaking bahagi ng Mindanao. Kung makikita po natin sa ating satellite image, makakaranas po yung Mindanao na maulap na kalangitan na may kasamang kalat-kalat mga pagulan, pagkidlat at pagkulog. Samantalang ito namang si Bagyong Egay or formerly Egay or si Typhoon Doksuri ay huli namang namataan sa layong 675 kilometers north-northwest ng Itbayat, Batanes. Sa ngayon po ay wala itong direktang epekto sa namang bahagi ng ating bansa, ngunit patuloy pa rin itong hahatakin ang hanging habagat na nakakaapekto naman sa ilang bahagi ng Luzon as well as Visayas. So asahan po natin particularly sa malaking bahagi ng Luzon kasama po dyan ng Metro Manila, makakaranas pa rin po tayo ng mga pag-ulan dulot ng enhanced southwest monsoon. Meanwhile, for Cagayan Valley or particularly sa ilang bahagi ng Cagayan as well as sa Bicol region, makakaranas po tayo ng maaliwalas panahon, although may mga tsansa pa rin ng mga localized thunderstorms.
This will mark the 6th storm to hit the country this year and the 3rd one this month. Authorities expect the storm to continue intensifying over the next 5 days with the possibility of becoming a typhoon by late Saturday evening or early Sunday morning. Pag-asa assures that there are currently no plans to raise storm signals across the country due to this tropical cyclone. However, Kanun is likely to enhance the southwest monsoon, locally known as Sabagat, and this enhancement may lead to occasional or monsoon rains affecting various parts of the country, particularly over the western regions of Luzon and Visayas. In breaking sports news, China's long-awaited Asian Games are set to make history as the largest ever according to organizers. The host city, Hangzhou, is now in full swing, with preparations for the much-anticipated opening ceremony in September. Originally scheduled for September 2022, the Games were postponed by a year due to China's stringent zero-COVID regulations. However, the delay hasn't dampened the spirits of over 12,500 athletes from 45 countries and regions who have eagerly signed up to compete. The Asian Games, renowned as one of the world's grandest sporting events, will unfold in a remarkable 56 venues. Athletes will be accommodated in a state-of-the-art games village, complete with transportation services and a media center to keep the world connected to the action. With fierce competition on the horizon, delegations from various regions will contend for glory in a staggering 40 sports. Among the lineup are emerging disciplines like the strategy board game Go, break dancing, and esports. Despite admitting a lot of difficulties in the lead-up, organizers have ensured the venues are now fully prepared and the final stages of preparations are underway. As my usual habit, I'd like to end the day on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. And that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angeles, always saying, stay in the news because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.